Hey everyone, I'm Avi, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create the Chromatic Aberration effect in Corel Painter. Now there's tons of tutorials out there on how to achieve this effect in the more popular drawing programs like Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint, and Procreate, but absolutely none for Painter except like maybe abandoned forum posts or people saying it's something the program probably doesn't support. I was very frustrated by that, so I sat down and with the knowledge from some of the available tutorials on YouTube, mainly for Clip Studio Paint, I managed to figure out a way to make it work in Corel Painter as well. It involves a few more steps than the simple push of a button, unfortunately, but don't worry, it's actually very easy once you get the hang of it. Two small disclaimers before I start. First, the version of Painter that I am using is an older one, Painter 12 to be exact, but as far as I know, all other versions of Painter should have the options needed for this method available as well. The second one, as you might have noticed, my Painter is in German, but I'll do my best to translate everything that is needed. So now let's get started. The first thing is that you will need to have everything that you want the effect to apply on in one layer. So if, for example, you want the effect to go on your entire drawing or painting, make sure that all layers are merged into one and keep backups in case something happens. Now that you have your single layer, or in my case, already just have a single layer prepared over here, go ahead and make 3 copies of it. I'm going to go ahead and rename the base layer to keep everything tidy. This will remain as the original layer and we can just leave it down here. Now the reason why we made 3 copies is because for this method we will make use of the RGB color model, which relies on its 3 base colors, red, green and blue. And accordingly we are going to color each of our 3 copies over here in one of these base colors. The way we're going to do that is by using the effects menu up here. We want to select the first menu option over here, which in English should say something like tonal control. And then from there you also again want to select the first menu option, which should translate to something like gradation curves or curves. So select this menu and then you'll get this window over here. So this is a tool for basically adjusting your painting's color values. It's a really great tool for like doing color adjustments and fine-tuning your image. The basis of how this works is that you have your 3 RGB colors down here, and if you select in this menu over here, select the second option, curves, you still have this straight graph, but if you select one of these colors, you will be able to grab the graph basically and drag it around in different locations. And if you do that, as you might have just seen in my picture, the color values get adjusted. So the further, for example, I move this graph up, in this case, the blue values increase, with the lower part of the axis correlating to the more darker colors in your drawing and the higher part of the axis correlating to the lighter parts in your drawing. Same way, the other way around, if I'm dragging this graph to the other side, all the blue values get decreased in my image. We're not going to use this, this tool for fine-tuning, however. We are going to use it to, as I said, completely color in our 3 copies in each of the RGB colors. So for the first layer, I'm going to select green. And what we want to do is just pick the graph and drag it all the way to the top. And really make sure that you go all in there and just drag the graph basically all the way to the top, so that it pretty much forms a straight line at the top of the little gray window with the graph inside. Then select OK. So now we have our first layer in green, and then we're going to do the exact same thing with the other remaining 2 colors for the other 2 remaining layers. So again, change effects, tonal control, go to the curves menu. Now I'm going to select blue, select the curves here as well, do the same thing, grab the graph, drag it all the way to the top. Now it is normal that it's a bit hard to do that, so don't worry if you have to like wiggle around a little bit, that's normal. And then okay, now we have a blue layer, and then last time effects, tonal control, curves, select curves over here as well. Now all that's left is the red. I'm gonna drag it all the way to the top, make sure it's all nice and clean. All right, so as you can see over here, we have our three colored layers, the green, the blue, and the red, and the original. And this was the first step. Now the second step is to work with the layer options, which is the menu over here. You have all these options to choose from how to make the different layers interact with each other. First, we're going to check if I did everything correctly, and the way we're going to do that is by choosing this layer mode over here in this little menu set with the three options. In English, I think these two are the darken and the lighten options. We are going to choose the lighten option for all of our three colored layers. And then when I'm going to turn them all visible, you should have something like this happen. First, you can already see that the colors are interacting in different ways. For example, if I turn on the red, it just seems red. If I turn on the blue, however, then it already combines to make like a purple or magenta color. And if I now turn on the green, your canvas should look like this, completely white. This is because of the RGB colors and how they interact with each other, because the RGB color is an additive color mode, so that means all the colors add up to make white light, as you can see in the little graph I made over here. As the last step, we are going to change the layer mode of the topmost layer of our three RGB layers. I'll explain how the order of these comes into play in a second, but right now it doesn't matter which one is on top. I have green as the first one right now, so I'm going to go ahead and change the layer mode of my green layer. And for this layer, we are going to choose the darken mode. And now it should look like this. Surprisingly, the image is completely back to normal. And now here comes the fun part, because as all you need to do now is still hold on to that top layer, and now you can just move it around. And as you see now, this is where the effect happens. And the cool thing about this method is that you can choose which colors the effect will be in by the order that you have these layers in. So for now, I have the green layer as my top layer, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And now if I move it around, you can see that the chromatic aberration effect consists of green as the main color, and then as its secondary color, magenta, which is because of the, again, RGB colors and the way they work. As you can see, the green over here has the magenta over here as its complementary color. And this translates to the chromatic aberration effect that we have in our painting, because we have the green and the magenta. This would of course change if I were to choose another layer as my top layer, so let me change this layer back to the lighten mode. Now of course the image is back to white, and now I'm going to choose the blue layer as my top layer and make this one my darken layer. Again, image goes back to normal, and if I go ahead and drag the blue layer around now, as you see. The effect is a bit less strong with the blue, but it's still visible. The main color, blue, is there, and then a little bit lighter you can see the yellow tones on the other side, again, because blue has yellow as its complementary color, so this translates to the effect. And just for completionist's sake, I'm going to show you the effect with the red as well. So I'm going to change the blue back to darken, canvas goes back to white, going to have the red layer as my top layer, set this one to darken, and if I move the red one around, now you have the red color as your primary, and then you have the light blue, or the cyan basically, as the secondary color in your effect. And what's even cooler is that you can mix this even more by turning one of your lighten mode layers on and off. So if I'm gonna work with this red option here, gonna drag it, so now you can see red and cyan are the two colors that the aberration effect is made up of. And now if I'm going to turn off the blue layer over here, you can see that all of the blue gets taken out of the picture, so now the effect is in all red and green instead of red and cyan. Same thing, of course, if I now turn off the green, all the green gets taken out, so now the effect is out of red and the more darker blue shade. So I find this really cool. There's lots of options to play around with. The only thing you need to keep in mind, however, as you can already see over here, at least when you do it like me and just add the effect as like the last step in your whole drawing progress, and you're just applying it to your entire painting, you will end up having these tiny borders because, of course, the more you move your layers around, the more the image shifts around. So keep in mind that you maybe add a few inches or a few pixels to the border of your painting because you might have to cut that off as a last step. But yeah, basically this is how you can do chromatic aberration in Corel Painter. I really hope this tutorial helped you. If you have any questions left, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I am by no means an expert on Corel Painter. As you can see, I'm still figuring out all the options this program basically has. So again, I'm no expert, but if I can answer your questions, I will do my best. So yeah, thanks for watching, have a good day, and bye bye!